Hey, everybody, we're back. They can't keep us down. We live to fight another day. So we are going live right now. We're going to be doing, President Trump is speaking right now. We're going to try and bring him on right now as we speak. Hold on, everybody. Hey,
hello, sir.
All right.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. But hey, trolls. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Flip the camera here. Audio's good. Video's good.
From many years ago, decades ago, they're all coming back. We have probably identified maybe $4 trillion worth of companies moving back or going to move back. Many of them have announced it's going to be tremendous jobs, high-paying jobs too. And you probably know the chip business, not because of the CHIPS Act, which was a disaster. You gave billions of dollars to companies that already have many billions of dollars. They said, thank you very much. It was no incentive for them to use it. But what is good is the tariffs will make it so that they want to come back. That's why they're coming back. I think they're coming back because of the election that took place on November 5th and because of the fact that they have to come back because the tariffs are forcing them to come back. And remember, there are no tariffs if you build here, and that's a big factor. So we have record numbers. Howard was just telling me the numbers that we're talking about are crazy, beyond anybody's wildest expectation. So they'll be doing a lot of building, all sorts of businesses, including the basics of automobiles. We have, as you know, Indiana's Honda is coming in with a massive plant to Indiana, but there are many plants that are happening, and literally some are started already. General Motors is already redoing plants that were half abandoned, or they have plants that weren't being fully utilized. They're going to be, they and others are going to be making parts and other things in those plants. So that it's one-stop shopping finally. It's ridiculous. You got to go to Mexico, you got to go to Canada. A car went all over the place. It was like, I don't know how that would work, but that's the way it sort of ended up. We had a deal, and we have a deal. It's fine, but people took advantage of the deal. They cheated, and when you cheat, the deals are unfortunate. But now what's happening is the numbers are beyond our wildest expectations. Now, having to do with cutting, we've done a lot of cutting, cutting from people, ideally the people that aren't doing the job. In many cases, people weren't attending jobs. In some cases, in many cases, people didn't exist. They had on the government roles people that don't even exist. But of the ones that did exist, as you know, many didn't come to work. Many had no intention of coming to work. Many were paid and working someplace else. There were lots of bad scenarios, but they're being weeded out, and I think we're probably ahead of schedule on that. And to me, something that was just terrible is the contracts that we're finding, the fraudulent contracts that we're finding, where millions and millions of dollars and even billions of dollars in some cases were given out. And well, I think we'll start with that. I'd like to start with Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior. He told us about a couple of contracts that we have now found. When he got there, they saw this with Chris and everybody.
$830 million, so that's one that we stopped. And that contract was going out after you were inaugurated, sir. So it was
it's a pure fraud.
Yeah.
It's a fraud. But we've had many fraudulent contracts that were caused by the work that Elon and his people are doing, and working with our people. It's been brought to light. The fraud, not just waste and abuse, the fraud has been incredible. You mentioned one, Madam.
Well, yes, sir. Well, let me just add to that, and thank you. We just had a wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York. Again, educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that. We canceled a $600,000 contract out of Louisiana that was studying the menstrual cycles of transgender men, a $600,000 contract. We canceled another contract out of a university in the middle of the country that focused on getting more diversity, equity, and inclusion into our pest management industry. Again, these are nonsensical. It makes zero sense to use taxpayer dollars to fund these. I know these are just a few examples of the hundreds and hundreds that we have found.
Well, they critically support with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the youngest.
Trump was right about everything Sis has had.
Yeah.
That's right. This lady you're talking about here.
Well, we're tackling the fraud, waste, and abuse agency. We've seen, hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud go unprosecuted. So we're keeping that on. We have a zero tolerance policy,
Accountability coming.
and we continue to crack down on it and make sure people are held accountable.
We have a lot of that. It's far too much of it. It's a pure fraud. We like to use the words waste and abuse because they sort of sound good, but many of these things are pure fraud.
Minta 1956, DOGE.gov.
Stacey Abrams got $2 billion just before we took over, and it was a rush to get her the money, and that was environmental, and nobody knows what she was doing. But $2 billion, if you got $2 million, that's a lot. If you got 200,000, that's a lot. But this was $2 billion was given. Lee, you wanted to talk about that? And the other one that was even worse.
EPA has now canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts.
$22 billion.
To this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. He received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs, and they're all pass-throughs. And then they were giving it to other entities, many of them were pass-throughs. And what you have is all these extra middlemen, they're taking their cut. And the taxpayer ends up getting screwed. They're losing out on all this hard-earned money. They can't afford to have the federal government waste. The partnership with Doge and Elon Musk has been incredible at EPA. Their team is very talented. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And of course, this mandate from President Trump to make sure that we identify every last penny, whether we're saving $50,000, $5 million, or $22 billion. We will not rest until every last penny is saved. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do this for the American public.
Thank you. Great job. So we have a lot of that. We're getting down to a point we think probably over the next 2 or 3 months we'll be pretty much satisfied with the people that are working hard and want to be members of the administration and our country, really. And they're doing a lot of good people. We have a lot of great people. We want to keep the good ones, and we want to get rid of the ones that don't exist, and we want to get rid of the ones that.
Hi, Stacey.
And we have quite a few of them. Would anybody else like to say something before we take some questions from the press? Go, Collins.
I think one of the things you all told me to take care of as a rep holder of the VA. And one of the things that you also have to know who your boys are. You have to know the very fact that you are. We're 470,000 roughly when we started this, larger than the active duty Army. When you think about that in a perspective. But however, this is an interesting point. When I first got there, we started looking at this. How you take care of people. We didn't have an HR system that could actually give us a rundown of who actually was working where. We've had to work for that, working with our VA employees or those liaisons. We've been able to put together an organizational chart which we can start looking at that. But the interesting part about it is about taking care of that. So what you've told me to do is how do we get the people in the right places? And I think when we look at this, GAO has told us we were high risk for years. The previous administration put literally tens of billions of dollars and tens of thousands of employees over the last 4 years, and we saw our statistics basically stay the same or go down. Backlogs went up. Maybe the question is not money and employees anymore. Maybe it's the organization and how we effectively deliver for the American people. That's what we're going to do.
And one thing I want to answer, it is not necessarily a very popular thing to do. You're talking about employment, you're talking about people and the lives of people. And yet, I think the American public understands we're trying to save our country and make our country great again. You can say it, but we're trying to save our country from this extraordinary thing that was happening. What they were doing to our country was just a horrible thing. And I have no idea how it plays out in the public. I guess you see poll numbers that are very good numbers, but I don't know what that means long term. But it's something that has to be done. If we don't do it, we're not going to have much of a country left, so we have to do it. So we're doing things that I think a lot of presidents wouldn't be inclined to do, but we're doing it to really, I don't want to use cliche. I don't want to say we're doing it to make America great again, because I say that on the campaign, but there's really no other words that can express it better than that. We're doing it to help our country, and our country was riddled with fat, like no country probably.
Yes, everybody, we got the appeal approved. That's why we're back.
At the same time, we're going to be bringing in
Sam's Childhood 5, Trolls 0.
a lot of money. Our country's going to be very strong. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, friend and foe. We were taken advantage of like nobody's ever seen. And you
Morning,
saw what
Captain.
happened today with Venezuela. We did something with Venezuela, which is long in the making, and it's very substantial. And we'll be announcing the cars very shortly. And we already announced steel, as you know, and aluminum. We'll be announcing pharmaceuticals at some point in the not too distant, because we have to have pharmaceuticals. We don't make pharmaceuticals anymore on our country. And if we have problems like wars or anything else, we need steel, we need pharmaceuticals, we need aluminum, we need a lot of these things that we sort of don't make anymore, and yet we're equipped to do it all. So we'll be announcing some of these things in the very near future, not the long future, the very near future. It'll bring in billions of dollars, billions and billions, and it'll bring in, maybe more importantly, jobs.
Thank you for your service, Doc.
And it's going to be really, really quite amazing. Christian, you have something to say?
Yes, Mr. President. I want to say energy is the infrastructure that makes our country run and drives our national security. The Biden administration grew my department, the Department of Energy, by 20%, and expenditure much more than that, all in an effort to reduce the production of energy in the United States and to make energy more expensive. We are stewards of the American taxpayer dollars, right? That's the job of everyone around this table, led by you. We want to reverse that trajectory and care about every dollar an American taxpayer gives us, and are we using it for the benefit of Americans? Let me tell you one thing, huge growth in expenditures, huge growth in employee count. Puerto Rico, an American territory, had its electricity grid destroyed. They had billions of dollars in the Department of Energy to help Puerto Rico, yet they didn't spend that money, because that money would have meant more energy, more jobs, more prosperity in Puerto Rico. They wanted to have them as a poster child of wind and solar. This island should run on wind and solar. That just doesn't work. But they cared about politics more than the American people, and they didn't treat the dollars like they were their dollars. This table, the team you have assembled, we're treating the American dollars like they're our dollars.
Thank you. You're doing a great job of energy, by the way. We have things happening with energy that will knock your socks off. Really amazing.
Huh.
Amazing
I
job.
wonder what we were talking about earlier.
What is so exciting is April 2nd is just around the corner.
Oh, again.
That's the day when the rest of the world starts to treat America with respect. And your leadership, understanding how the rest of the world treats us, and what balance and what fair trade finally is going to be. It's going to take care of America. It's going to launch the External Revenue Service to start to build the power and prestige of America back. And I'm honored to be helping you on that course.
An interesting term with the External Revenue Service. We're going to take in a lot of money from the outside, and that's going to keep our taxes low. And I think getting a lot lower. It's going to be a lot of money, and then the external will take care of the internal to a large extent. So I think it's going to be a beautiful transformation. Linda, you might say a couple of words. You've done so amazingly. It's a 50% cut. And more importantly, we want to bring education into the states where at the bottom of the fact that we're the most expensive per pupil. And we want to bring education back to the states where they can teach the students lovingly with their parents and with the boards and everything else. And they'll be every bit as good as these other countries. These states, these individual states will do a phenomenal job. Want to say something?
Yes, sir. If we think about education, if we don't address the issues in education now, start getting our scores up, where are we going to find our next generation after that? Where are our engineers, our doctors, our lawyers, our scientists, our AI and technical experts going to come from? We will go farther and farther down with everything else we're doing within our country, building manufacturing, bringing all of that back. If we don't educate in the best way we can, we will be lost.
1000%. Bingo.
It is, I think, the cornerstone of our culture and what we need to focus on.
By design that they took it down.
Education is the best place where it can be, which is the states, the local levels, with governors, with best practices and tools, which I hope we'll do it.
And then, as you know, SBA is taking over the student loans, which is a lot of loans. So big job, and Kelly, we appreciate that. You're going to do fantastically well. And Bobby is going to be taking over their various medical aspects and health aspects of the educational process.
Let's
So,
go.
he's going to do a fantastic job of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just say that I'm very grateful to you. I'm very grateful for the partnership with Doge, with Elon. We've identified extraordinary ways in my department and HHS. The expenditures in my HHS and the Biden administration went up by 38%. The employees went up by 17%, and healthcare went down. We have 40 comms departments. We have 40 procurement departments. We have 40 IT departments, and we have 40 procurement, HR. None of them talking to each other. We are, with Elon's help, eliminating the redundancies. We are streamlining our department.
Slash the red, baby.
Gold standards, we're going to get the money to the scientists and to the patients rather than to the administrators and the bureaucrats. And we're going to restore gold standard science, and we're going to make America healthy again.
Thank you very much. That's great. If you might, Madam Secretary, say a little bit about what's happening.
Hey, Doc, on April 2nd, the tariffs take effect.
I was in Arizona, California, Alaska, and Florida. And CBP literally has almost 100% operational control of the border, which means that our country is secure. And we know who's coming in,
There we go.
and that they love their country and they want to help keep it great into the future. We are in the month of March, the last couple of weeks, increased our deportations by 50%. So we're now not even just getting the worst of the worst out. We're making sure that there's consequences for being here and committing crimes in our communities. And the numbers are continuing to escalate and to go up. Sir, this week I'm headed down to El Salvador. I'll be in the prison where we sent TDA members. I'll be meeting with the president and also Colombia and Mexico and talking about building these relationships so that we can continue to get people out of this country that don't belong here and take them home. And also you had talked to me about sending a message worldwide about the fact that people shouldn't be coming to this country. And they shouldn't be coming here illegally. So we are in several other countries around the world with a message right now that's saying, if you are thinking about coming to America illegally and coming here, don't do it. You are not welcome.
I agree, Deb. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
And there are consequences if you come here illegally, and America has changed because we're putting Americans first. So we've also, the Coast Guard has done phenomenal work. I don't know if you all have reported on it, but we have broken historic records in the amount of drug interdictions that they have brought in position to fleet to go after the fentanyl crisis and to go after the southern border and securing it. And they've done amazing work as far as that. We were down in Florida. They brought in $500 million worth of cocaine that they had done in 14 interdictions and had brought them in, going right directly after the cartels. And doing great work there. And we have a cutter that we have sped up the processor, the icebreaker, that'll be hitting the waters here this summer. And we've got 2 more that will be coming. But, Russia is using Their cutters and icebreakers up in the Arctic could do surveillance on us, and we're gonna reposition our fleet to continue to partner. I want to thank the Secretary of Defense and the Navy for all of their help and partnership too. We do operations together because their obviously Navy warships are in certain regions, but our cutters are faster and can work together in a partnership that's securing America. So, and we're gonna eliminate FEMA. So we got a line?
Eliminate FEMA.
Yes, good riddance.
What'd she just say?
Exactly what you promised.
Great job.
Fake news.
It was a plaza, and there'd be hundreds of thousands of people standing at that plaza, pouring into the country, totally unchecked. Many people from jails and prisons and mental institutions. Gang
Na 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 na. Na na
And they just
na
pour into our country.
Hey,
I was speaking to
FEMA
someone
goodbye.
on the border, and they said there was literally nobody in this massive plaza. You know, we're talking a plaza that would hold hundreds of thousands of people. There was literally nobody there, one person sweeping it. There were no people. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing transformation very quickly. And we're getting
Yes,
bad
choose your
ones.
poison. Goodbye, FEMA.
There's some really bad ones, really bad.
I agree, Deb.
More than one people, at least 50% murdered more than one person. This is the people that were letting in through their open border policy. It was terrible, but I want to just congratulate you and Tom Holman on the job you've done. It's over.
Boston this weekend, hundreds of dangerous criminals were removed. 4 killers taken out of the country just by what they did in Boston this last few days.
Yeah, and these are killers that there's no reason. It's not like, oh, let's fuck them out of it. These are stone cold killers. They don't care. They don't even think about it. They kill somebody. They go to sleep. They wake up. They don't even remember they killed them. These are bad people that should have never been allowed into our country. Pam is doing such a fantastic job.
Thank you, President.
Here we go.
As far as we are hearing a lot about fraud, waste, and abuse, a lot of waste and abuse, but there is a tremendous amount of fraud. And Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your, you have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at the table. And if you committed fraud, you're coming out for that. On the violent crime level, thanks to President Trump's directive, we are seeking to death penalty again. All of these horrible violent criminals we're hearing about.
Not sure. I don't know what rock you're under, but goodbye.
In our country. And the drug dealers need to get out of here because we are coming after you. We're going to have 94 great U.S. attorneys around this country, and everyone will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
I couldn't have said that better. That's very good. It's done a fantastic job. Thanks, man. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what can states do now?
Well, I think what's going to happen is we are cleaning out a lot of things like the loans, student loans, which will be handled very professionally by people that do that. And then, as you know, RFK Jr. is going to do a fantastic job having to do with help with the other things, and frankly, better than the people at the Department of Education. You see the buildings all over D.C. And then the rest is the states are going to start coming in and taking all of the information on all of the.
Yes, I agree, Cindy.
I think a lot of that information is going to be shipped to different states like Iowa, like Indiana, like so many. They're so anxious to get. They're calling us, and they're so anxious to get it. We'll be shipping the records of the children that they're taking care of, that they want to take care of, and the process will begin. And I think it won't be that long before the states will be really running the Department of Education. Our teachers are going to be taken very well care of. And I said, personally, I don't care union, non-union, it doesn't matter. Teachers are so important to this country and to me. And we're going to take great care of our teachers. And I know it's very important to Linda. So I think you're going to see a tremendous change very quickly having to do with education. And the process has already begun, very strongly begun. I think we've done, whatever it is, 8 weeks. People are amazed at how much we've done in terms of the safety of the country. In fact, I would like to.
Section 9 for you, the WhiteHouse.gov.
What's happening with respect to, in particular, Russia, Ukraine. we have some pretty good news. I think we want to get it stopped. We're losing 2,500 young people, and these are Russian and Ukrainian people largely. And they're not American people, but on a human basis, we want to get it stopped, and we want to stop spending billions and billions of dollars to a country that we think it's time. And we're doing pretty well. Mark, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Mr. President, first of all, I think the American people should be proud that we have a president that's promoting peace and the end of conflict on this planet. This is a war that's gone on for 3 years, as you pointed out, that as you rightly pointed out would have never happened if you've been president, but now it's here. And it needs to be brought to an end. There is no military solution to this war. It has to
Go watch Wag the Dog.
And there's only one leader in the world that's capable of bringing two sides to a table. And that's our president, the president of the United States, President Trump. And that's what he's done.
Peace through strength, baby.
On the ground in Saudi Arabia, a meeting with the respective sides in the hopes of making progress towards this outcome that we all want to see. And I think that the country owes you great gratitude, and the world, because I mean, you're the only leader in the planet that can bring the two sides together to bring an end to this conflict, and that's what you've done.
The art of the deal.
Despite impediments from other countries and others who maybe have different opinions about how this should go, but ultimately, I think that the only chance we have for peace is through the president's leadership, and he's shown that, and we hope it'll bear fruit. And today, it'll hopefully be one step more in that direction.
Thank you, Marco. And on the Middle East, another hotspot that we didn't have a problem with. There was no problem in the Middle East when we left, and now there's a lot of problems in the Middle East, but we're working on that.
I agree, Traveler.
Significant progress, and I think you have we're going to start. We were talking with the Vice President a little while ago, and you're going to see countries start to fill up the Abraham Accords. More and more countries want to join. That was a great success, tremendous success, and then Biden and his group did zero with it. That should have been filled up within a year of the election. Would have been filled up. So countries are starting to want to get involved very much with the Abraham Accords again. So that'll be great. JD, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Just on that topic, when you think about what happened with the Abraham Accords, one of the great diplomatic breakthroughs under the first Trump administration, really in the last 30 or 40 years of American history in the Middle East. And the Biden administration did absolutely nothing with it. Built on it, not at all, added 0 additional countries. Surely out of political spite, the Biden administration, I think, hurt the United States and really hurt the project of world peace. That has changed. Luckily, about 2 months ago, we got a new president, and that president has given us the task of building out the Abraham Accords, adding new countries to it. And really what you see is a lot of these countries that have historical, ethnic, or religious hatreds want to build. They want to build new artificial intelligence. They want to build new real estate projects.
Alex, where are we getting this stream from?
And prosperous and peaceful.
C-SPAN.
It's on C-SPAN, Michaelius.
So it's early, but we made a lot of progress, and we'll keep on making progress.
One of the things that's very important I think to mention, I saw a show yesterday, and they had a Democrat.
And so everybody knows we're about 10 minutes behind the live stream because I wanted to start it at the beginning.
Prices would be coming down, and instead he's focused on other things. Focused on a lot of other things like peace, like all of these companies that are moving in a job. But what he didn't say is the prices have come down very substantially. And if you look at when I came in after 1 week, they were screaming at me about eggs. Eggs had nothing to do with me, but they were through the roof and couldn't get them. And now they're down about.
Traveler, thank them for their service, please.
Brooke, if you would just discuss that. And groceries generally, prices are coming down, and energy prices are coming down. And I hope the Fed lowers interest rates, and then you're going to see interest rates coming down. And I'll have you speak about that in a second, Scott. Brooke,
Well, sir, thank you. I think the first thing that's really remarkable to note is that the prices of eggs under the 4 years of Joe Biden increased 237%. 237% in those 4 years, and yet it wasn't covered in the press at all. No one talked about the price of eggs in the summer of last year, for example, from the media. So, of course, the president wins, and he is inaugurated, and the next day, everyone is yelling about why the price of eggs are so high. So it's certainly one of many, many issues we took on over the 4 years of Joe Biden. We had the cost of input go up 30% for all of our agriculture products. At the same time, the trade deficit increased $49 billion. So it was zero under the first Trump administration, and then under Joe Biden, we sold $49 billion less of our ag products around the world. And you combine that with the avian bird flu, and I know I've talked to a lot of you in the press on this over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But listen, here's the deal. The president, under his vision and support, we released about a month ago a very significant plan on how to bring the price of eggs down. It included 5 prongs. I won't go into it now because I don't want to bore everyone, but since that day, since we released that plan regarding biosecurity, repopulation, importing eggs, research, and then deregulating, taking those onerous rules off of our farmers, our egg-laying farmers. Since that time, the price of eggs, the wholesale price of eggs, has come down 53%. So we're going to keep working on it. Listen, it's not something you solve overnight. Avian bird flu and some of the other animal diseases, we're working across the government, several partners on.
Hello, beautiful.
Especially my friend Secretary Kennedy over at HHS. We have a long-term solution, but at least for now, in the short term, thanks to President Trump and so many that have worked so hard, the price of eggs are coming down, as well as the price of groceries. So thank you, sir.
I was talking to my wife.
The number is 53%, and they're readily.
Hi, Allie Mae.
Love you, baby.
And overall groceries are down.
That's right. They're coming down.
So the consumers finally seeing some good news instead of.
It's not BS, Gator. It's going to take a while to filter down. Be patient.
Confident leadership.
They're talking the wholesale price of eggs. Retail price is still a bit of a fight right now.
Yes, sir. So we are under your direction. We're reprivatizing the economy. We're bringing down government spending. We're bringing down excess employment in the government sector. On the other side, we're going to re-leverage the banking system. We're going to have all the new manufacturing jobs, so everyone who's laid off from the government will have an opportunity to go into the private sector, and that is going to lead to disinflation. Inflation is under control. We're going to get the affordability crisis fixed. So lower energy, deregulation, more private sector jobs that will naturally get interest rates down. Mortgage rates are down almost every week since January 20th. The energy costs are down about 15%, crude oil is down about 15%. And as we keep that going, interest rates are declining. It'll be good for mortgages, it'll be good for credit card debt, it'll be great for auto loans.
He's doing a really good job. I'd like to see the Fed lower interest rates. That's just my opinion. Because things are coming down. We have inflation under control. Tremendous amounts of money will be soon coming in from tariffs, which is about time that we were able to partake. We've been ripped off by every country on that basis, and it's about time. But that will be, I think, treated very fairly. Will be very fair. But the money that we're talking about is rather astronomical, and it should be, because we put years and years. I was able, in the first term, we had a great first term with the highest stock price increase ever, all the different things that we had. But one of the things, we took in a lot of money in tariffs, and I had just started that process. And we had to slow it down because of the COVID. We did a very good job with COVID, but that was something that happened to the whole world. It was a shame. What a shame. All those people dead, and all of the problems caused for countries far worse, and some countries still haven't recovered. Economically, they haven't recovered. But we took in hundreds of dollars in tariffs. This is starting the process, but this is going to be unbelievable for our country, and I think it's treating other countries very fairly. I'd like to ask, if I might, Sean Duffy to say a few words about the control situation. You know, there were some mishaps, one in particular, the helicopter crashing into the plane. We have a system that's 40 years old. They spent tens of billions of dollars trying to patch it up and, make it work. It doesn't work. My pilot says they use different systems. They don't want to use our system. It's so obsolete. And it's an obsolete, horrible thing that happened with respect to it. And we're going to, I said, day one, if this happens, when we are successful, we're going to have to get a brand new, modern, top-of-the-line air traffic system. And I think I can say that I've been working a little bit with Sean John's been working hard on it. And with his new person at FDA, who's going to be terrific, by the way. And maybe you want to talk to them about that, because we need safety in the air, total safety in the air, and this will give that to you.
We had a conversation on Friday. Our air traffic control system, as we talked about maybe privately, or I don't know how people call you, but we have decades of ideas and billions of dollars, and no progress is ever made on any of these initiatives. Air traffic control is the same thing. And so we're having a conversation about building a state-of-the-art, brand new, best technology, envy of the world air traffic control system. And what's interesting from the DOGE team is,
I wonder if Starlink's part of that.
this is about safety. This is about people's lives. All of you fly, your family flies. Why hasn't it been done? And the problem is, in government, it takes way too long. So technology changes and money changes and administrations change. We have to do this fast, which is why we need the partnership from the Congress to give us the money up front. The best ideas, the best technology available in the world, we're going to build in the system. I think, Mr. President, we can do it in 3 years. I think Trump Tower was built in 3 or 3.5 years. I think we could match the Trump Tower time frame was 2 years. Maybe not that good, but about 3 years. And again, it's got the choreograph, because again, our towers are operational, keeping planes in the air. So we're going to choreograph this, but we can do it in short order. Let me just make one other point, Mr. President. We're $36 trillion in debt. Right? You've never had a Doge. We've never come in and looked at our government the way, Mr. President, you looked at this government and said, there's so many people, there's contracts, fraud, waste, and abuse. And so we've had a few bumps in the road as we've gone through this process. But if you look around this room, everybody has seen how the process has evolved, and everyone appreciates some of the insight and technical support that we've gotten to make this government more efficient, to make it more responsive to the American people. And so, again, when you have a new system like this, you'll get some bumps. But things are rolling out. The last 3 weeks have been much better.
It's never had an administration like this.
To deliver for the American people. And I would say some of the press had made comments last time about what happened in the last meeting. We had a great conversation in the last meeting. Elon and I had a great call after the meeting, and so sometimes the reporting can be a little bit off. I love the analysis you guys do when you're not in the room. But I just know that we'll work along together, Mr. President, and the whole team here is working along together.
Well, actually, we decided to see you after the cabinet meeting instead of before. And I think that's nice, but if you think about it, I guess never in history has anybody invited you to a cabinet meeting. And we're very open and transparent. And we had a very good meeting today, so I mean, you're standing here and you're seeing what the result of the meeting is. I think we're doing.
I agree, Tina. Hands in the cookie jar.
Yep.
Good job. I think it's there's never been anything like it. Did you have a question, Liz?
Two actually, you know, and thank you for having us.
Thank you.
One actually to follow up on your you said that you're now preparing to prosecute examples of fraud across federal agencies.
We are working with a team. We have a team of attorneys in place working with Elon's incredible team, helping us, taking referrals from the cabinet members. You know, these are tax dollars. And a lot of it is just, a lot of it's waste. But if it's fraud, we are investigating it, and we are looking at multiple cases of fraud throughout the federal government.
Greenland is confused about the second lady and the national security advisor visiting this week. They're concerned that this is further provocation or whatever it is you ultimately want to bring. Could you further explain why they're going? What is the ultimate goal?
Yeah, well, not provocation. This is friendliness and provocation. We're dealing with a lot of people from Greenland that would like to see something happen with respect to them being properly protected and properly taken care of. They're calling us, we're not calling them. And we were invited over there, and I thought it would be I have great respect for the wife of our great vice president. I think she's a brilliant woman. She's a very nice woman. And she loves the concept of Greenland And so she's going there, and I think Martha is going there, and some others are going there. But we've been invited, and they really like the idea because they have been somewhat abandoned. They haven't been taken well, good care of. And I think Greenland's going to be something that maybe is in our future. I think it's important. It's important from the standpoint of international security. And if you look at the ships outside of Greenland, you have Russia, you have China, you have lots of different people and lots of different places, and it cannot go on the way it is. It's not going to go on the way it is. I'll make a statement. It's not going to happen. So they're going there, and that's purely friendship. A lot of people, people from Greenland are asking us to go. We have many requests from many people, some officials too.
Yes, economic forecast. I saw one economic forecast coming out from the OECD this past week. They are forecasting stagflation for the United States, a downtick in terms of GDP growth. Do you agree with that forecast? What do you see over the course of 2025?
Well, we inherited a very bad and perilous situation from a group of people. Again, we just got here from a group, and this takes a long time to develop, from a group of people that truly didn't know what they were doing. And you see that with not only costs, you see that with all of these fake contracts that have been given out. So we inherited a bad situation, but I think we're going to have an economy that booms. I think when it all kicks in, it's not going to take very long, because some of these people that announce that they're going to spend billions of dollars. I mean, literally, Apple is spending $500 billion. They've never made anything close to that. They're building plants here instead of China, instead of other places. When it all happens, and it's going to happen very soon, these are people that are all, in many cases, are already starting. They just announced. In some cases, they announced, but they actually started before the announcement, as you know, because some are already building. This is going to kick in. I think it's going to be amazing. So they're looking at, based on numbers that I was looking at 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I was very concerned about the economy. We're going to have something that's like nobody's ever seen before. We have numbers, and we have job generation that I don't think we've ever seen before. See how it works out, but I think the economy is
In an interview with Time Magazine published this morning, President Zelensky said he believes some members of your team have been influenced by Russian information. Was there his words?
Well, probably they have been influenced to get this thing settled, because Ukraine wants to see it settled. I think they have to have it settled. Russia wants to see it settled. And I think if I were president, this would never happen. Marco's doing a great job, and he's been incredible. Michael Waltz, we have a great group of people working on it, and it takes a good part of their day settling something that really, it affects us monetarily, because we've given so much money, and we're getting that done. In fact, Scott is telling me that the agreement on rare earths is just about complete.
I agree, Doreen.
So it's, as you know, Europe is in for a very small fraction of what we're in for. It affects them much more than it affects us. Again, they are in as a loan, which nobody knew until I came along. Europe is giving
Thank you, Brenda.
We were just pouring money into Ukraine. It was a very unfair situation. So we made a deal on rare earths. But most importantly, we want to stop the killing that's going on. 2,500 on average, mostly soldiers, a week are being killed. And the Russian and the Ukrainian, and if we can stop it, that's a very important thing to me on a human basis. No, we'll be signing it soon. It'll be signed very soon. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Russia return its kids to that time it is in Ukraine.
Well, it's one of the things that we're talking about. I know that no decision's been made. We're talking about territory right now. We're talking about lines of demarcation. We're talking about power plant ownership. Some people are saying the United States should own the power plant and then work it that way, because we have the expertise to fix it up, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay, that would, something like that would be fine with me. but they are talking about ownership of the big nuclear power plants in particular. But all of these things have come up, and they have come up, and that has been discussed. Okay, I want to thank everybody very much. This was a great meeting. These are phenomenal people. We're lucky to have them. I have to tell you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. I know you've been through a lot with this horrible situation that happened. Very unfair. What he is a patriot. Here's a man that I can tell you, he's a friend of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He supported me in the election. That's when I got to know him. Really, I knew him a little bit from the first term, but not much. But he's a patriot more than anything else. He's never think of it. He's never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something. And it's always subject to change. And if it does change, I'll let you know about it. But Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the electric car mandate. I have no idea how that affects him, but possibly not good. I don't know. But he's never asked me for a thing. And I think that's an amazing tribute. I did get activated last week when I saw what they're doing. I said, he makes an incredible product, and we're going to go out and tell people you can't do that stuff and support him. We got to support him. Because if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't have any of these difficulties. And I think it's getting less and less. Pam has done a great job with regard to all of the, I know the kind of investigations that are going on. And she finds,
Thank you, Captain.
Sorry, found 4 of them. But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences because they're really terrorists when you think about it. They're terrorists at a high level. And I think the people that are financing them, they could very well be people I know, people that you write about. But those people are in big trouble. So they better cut it out. But Elon's a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, Alex, should we cut that? There we go. All right, guys and gals, what do you think? Captain? Adam, what do you think?
Well, I think the first thing that I got to look at was just look at his cabinet. Look at who he's got there. It's not based off of race, color, creed. It's based on talent, knowledge, and expertise. And the fact that you've got this kind of a cabinet that's cohesive, that's working together. I haven't seen the likes of a cabinet like this probably ever in the history of our country. And the way that they're going about it, it blows my mind that we have the
and how fast they're going about it.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that you have these the Dems or the liberals or whatever you want to call them. You have a cabinet that's fighting for everybody in America, whether those agree with it or not. They're generally fighting. They're taking the heat for it. Do what's right for this country, for everybody here. And yet they get the backlash of this dehumanization, this divisiveness, and to see the level of transparency and to understand how much money that has been put on the backs of the taxpayers for decades. Well, we'll just call it the better part of a century at this point, because that's really where you go back to 1913 is really when it started to shift. But it amazes me in how quickly they're turning things around at breakneck speed.
Completely agree. Stacy, what are your thoughts?
I love everything he says. I love his transparency. I love the cabinet. I love what Elon's doing. I just think we're really on a great path. I love Tom Homan and what he's doing at the border for all the children. And, I'm all about saving the kids from trafficking. So I'm just absolutely joyous over this.
Yeah, me too. Captain?
Somebody say FEMA?
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Is that a slip? Or is that deliberate?
I think it's, well, they've talked about it before. There were some articles saying they're thinking about defunding it or significantly reducing it. And she came out and said it's going to be eliminated.
Yeah. Yep. She said it.
Yep. Dave?
I love it.
Excited for the future. Everything we heard there was all positive.
Yeah.
Had to keep digging, keep heading towards the future.
Amen. Yep. Alex?
Absolutely.
Did somebody say FEMA?
Yeah.
I mean, look, trolls aside, I keep seeing this recurring post. Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Us as patient, kind, loving patriots need to step alongside those that are about to have the covers ripped back, the lights turned on, and the cockroaches are scattering, right? And a lot of people are really scared of cockroaches. They don't want them. They don't like them. They want to just forget that they're even there, and so it becomes a problem. And we're at a point where, like Dan Bondi said, the prosecutions for fraud, the proof, the receipts, the innocent until proven guilty in this country is coming back with a furious pace. And it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to take in. And, you know, I don't want to be the I told you so guy. I just want to step alongside any of our fellow Americans that as they wake up through this process, start to understand just how screwed we have been for 50, 60, 70 years. But the accountability is definitely coming. And I think it's going to be fast and furious and swift and brutal.
Yeah, and how nice is it?
We've all been stuck in Stockholm syndrome with our government and our taxes for years. Most of us since we were first going to work. All that's going to change. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No interruption at all. So
you're good, Cap.
Yeah, and you know, I find it interesting that you have a president, that we have a president who's not afraid to take questions, who's not afraid to get in front of the American people, tell them what's going on, show them what's going on, pulling the covers back, like Alex said, in a way that enables them to make the choice. Are you with us or are you against us? We haven't had that since his last term in office. And other than President Trump, I don't believe we've had that since John F. Kennedy, possibly Reagan. So as Alex said, the drip is becoming a flood. And as we've said many times, you cannot throw a frog into a pot of boiling water. They're either going to jump out or they're going to die. And I think what they're doing in terms of bringing up the temperature slowly and phasing these things in is absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
That's bringing up Stockholm Syndrome. Everybody look up Stockholm Syndrome and understand what it means to learn to appreciate and love your oppressor. Everybody look up normalcy bias. Okay, these are cognitive. It stops your ability to see a threat. When normalcy bias sets in, you're so used to the day-to-day that the boogeyman's standing right behind you. Into this information age and this transparency age, again, two things, like Jen said, two things that are guaranteed to rise: the truth and the sun in the morning. And folks, we're in that rising sun right now. The light is being shined, and it's not an I told you so moment. It's a time to put out the olive branch and say, you know, as these things come to light and as people are starting to wake up to the fact that they have been used, abused, to an old country term, rode hard and put away wet. Like we have been through the ringer, and this transparency phase that we're stepping into, even for those of us that are awake, there are still things popping every day that I'm like, oh my word.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, all right, everybody, as you can see, we got our live restored on TikTok. We are back at it. We will be with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time on all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, X, and TikTok. So we just wanted to jump on real quick and catch President Trump's cabinet meeting. I'm glad all of you were able to join us. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Stacy. And of course, thank you, Dave. So everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Have a good day, everybody.